Hello everyone and welcome to my new video about Canadian immigration and statistics. This is based on the datasets released by Canadian government as of July 2021. In this update, I will be talking about, as usual, the programs, the average ITS scores cutoff, ages of the people, and for the purpose of this update, I have added two new slides to cover the knock codes or the professions who were invited into Canada. So let's get quickly into it. First of all, the first slide I have is about the citizenship of the people who immigrated to Canada. And as per the data, we can see that for a couple of years, there is a very static pattern that Indian nationals were almost 50% of the total immigrants inducted into Canada. In the orange, we have rest of the world. Uh, the second highest country is the Chinese. In general, we don't see any shift in the data patterns, so we will quickly pass on this slide. The next slide I have is about the territories where the immigrants settled into Canada under various programs. And as again, we don't see a shift in data patterns. Ontario, British Columbia, and Alberta are still the highest preferred destinations for people. And I think this is, of course, because of the professionals, they tend to settle down in larger cities versus other smaller parts. Now, in this third slide, we have the age groups. So what I've done is, as per the data, we can see that we have first group, which is from 19 years of age to 29, and then 30 years of age to 39. From 2016 to 2020 or 2019 at least, we can see there is a 50-50 parity between the two groups, 19 to 29 and 30 to 39. However, in 2020 and 21, we see the patterns are tilting in favor of the people who are in their 20s. So this brings me to one important point, that if anybody has to plan or intends to immigrate, they must start early, especially if they belong to third world countries like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, because the competition is getting tougher. There are about 50,000 people in the pool, and when we have younger people than old chaps like me who are about to be 40 next year, we don't stand a higher chance. The next slide also shows us one important change in the data. So for a couple of years from 2015 all the way to 2020, we can see there's a very steady pattern of the CRS cutoffs. This means the people who are having about 450 at least or 475 CRS points, they were definitely invited to apply for a visa. But this year, I would say this is because of COVID-19 and international restrictions on travel. Canadians dropped the cutoff score to the level of, I have seen the data, in some cases, it was as low as 350 and 330. So it was roughly, I can say, in a range of 330 to 370. So talking about low score that we see here is just because of one program, and the program is, we'll see in the next slide, that it is CEC program, that is Canadian Experience Class. These could be people who are in there already as a student or on a temporary work permit, but whatever, after the pandemic, we can see that Canadian authorities are moving in favor of CEC candidates. In 2020, their share increased from almost, roughly speaking, 40% to 55%, and then almost by the end of half year or 5 months of 2021, we can see that 80% of the total invitations went to CEC candidates, whereas the proportion or the quota, I would say, for FSW candidates significantly dropped. And definitely we can understand this is because of the traveling restrictions that we have, and still we are not sure when those restrictions would be fully lifted. We are still talking about fifth wave and Delta and whatnot. So I believe that remaining year of 21 we will have a similar pattern where low scores might continue, but those low scores will be specifically for CEC candidates, not for FSW and not for PNP. I also believe that I can see maybe the same pattern to some extent might continue into the first half or the first quarter of 2022. I believe it might continue till June, but safe bet I think would be the first quarter of 2022. This is a new slide I have added. Canada invites lots of people of various professions. What I'm showing here is top 8 NOC codes or the professions who were invited into Canada. So for example, I have 3 years, 19, 2020 and 21, almost half here. And we can see that these are the top 5 codes that they were invited into Canada. And if we just calculate, roughly speaking, they are about 40% of the total people inducted. So on the left hand, I have federal program, and on the right hand, I have provincial program, and then I have NOC codes followed by the percentage of the people invited. So this 12%, for example, is out of the total people invited into Canada. 2173, 2174, these two codes, I would say they belong to the same group. These are about computers, computer programmers, software engineers. Whereas 1311 and 1111 are the people who are associated with the accounting professions like accountants, bookkeepers, financial advisors, and all that. And the third code I have is 6311. This belongs to the food industry guys. So roughly speaking, the point here is that if anybody is starting their career or starting to build their profile for the purpose of immigration, they can clearly see what sort of data patterns we are having. Of course, it's not a indication of future by any means, but when we look out at the averages, so on roughly speaking, we can say that these are the people have been at least 8% or 10% of the total invitations. In federal, I don't see much shift in the trends, but when I go on the provincial side, I do see a clear change that provinces are inviting more people associated with computer industry. So we can see the gray bar that belongs to 21 has a clear-cut advantage over other candidates. Now, I would like to have one brief slide about the course. I have already spoken about it. So as I said, 1111, 1311 are accounting people, and I see them as one group. 2173, 2174, again, I see them as one group. And then we have the food industry guys. I'll go back to my slide here. When this pandemic happened, I was expecting that Canada will open doors to doctors and health professionals. To contrary to my expectations, I don't see much change in federal programs. They did not invite as much as health workers as I was expecting. However, when we go to the provincial side, we see that they definitely increased their induction of health workers. So in 2019 and 2019 and 2020, they were under like 3% or 4%, but by the half this year of 21, we can see they are almost 7%. So definitely the trend shifted here. Lastly, just a few tips quickly. Why I do these statistics. The point is that whatever we do, whether immigration or some other project in our life, it becomes much easier when we know the big picture. And that's the whole point about seeing and exploring data about immigrations to Canada. Second takeaway I have is that if ever we are thinking about immigration, we should start early. There is no point in waiting for it. I can tell from my own experience, honestly, I regret my decision not to apply early. And the best age, based on the CRS scores I have studied of myself, my friends, and the people I just counsel free of cost, is the best age is 25 to 35. After 35, it becomes quite difficult because the CRS scores due to age points drops very sharply. So start early. And then IELTS or CELPIP, whatever test you're taking for English, please take it very seriously. It's a proper exam. It's not just a test of English. You are tested for time management, your ability to perform well in exams, ability to listen, to comprehend, and talk about any random topic. So take the exam seriously, try to do the best you can, and prepare for it. And only way to prepare for it is to practice a lot. Then If for some reason you are like, let's say you are in mid-30s, or regardless of age, for example, I mean, let's be straight about it. If you ever have to plan or you intend to apply for immigration, please continue to upgrade your education. If you're undergraduate, try to work, even if it is part-time, try to work towards graduation, then master's program, and PGDs or PhDs. These small milestones really help your profile. Competition is increasing. As of now, we have about 50,000 people much younger than us, in their 20s, early 30s. So definitely they have a clear chance. One other thing that we can do is to, when we raise our profile, assuming everything is ready and everything is at the optimal stage, we can apply as a married person if we are married, and then we can specify that we will be traveling without a spouse. The way the calculation works, it might give the candidate about 20 to 25 points of a score just because of not traveling with a spouse. Especially this would be very helpful for people who are on the borderline of the cutoff. For example, if somebody is at 440 or 450, then having a boost of 20 points or 25 points will make a lot of difference. So you can think about it as well. And lastly, immigration is not the end of the life. If it doesn't happen, if for any reason we were late or we were not invited, we should always have, by the way, a plan B and plan C. So I hope this video helps and it brings you some insights to plan your immigration effectively. Thanks a lot for watching. Goodbye.